The other murder, which I do want you to mention, and you make this in your book, they murder free speech and freedom, take over the education system, murdering the intellectual and economic future of young people.
Well, it's worse than that. There's been a takeover of the education system. It's taken 40 or 50 years to do it. Young children now have no knowledge. They don't have the ability to critically or analytically think, and they don't ask the very simple question. And the question is, can you please show me that human emissions of carbon dioxide drive global warming? It's never been shown in the scientific literature. I've asked scientists, I've asked former chief scientists, politicians and journalists, please give me half a dozen scientific papers that prove that human emissions of carbon dioxide drive global warming. That's never been done. Yet the whole industry of robbing us blind with wind and solar and subsidies and then ending up with the inevitable food shortages, that is based on a false promise. So I fear the young people because they don't have now the ability to say, wait a minute, folks, this is not in accord with some science, it's not in accord with history.
Professor Plimer, we once had, simple question, reliable, cheap electricity. What's gone wrong?
Well, we went to renewable energies, which are unreliable and are expensive and are subsidised. And renewable energy doesn't run on the wind or on the sun. It runs on subsidies. In Australia, we had very cheap energy. It was coal-fired. The generators were close to the heavy industry that used this power, such as smelters. And we have totally re-engineered and broken down this system. It's not been done by electrical engineers. It's been done by ideologues. It's been done for political reasons. And I don't have a problem with people having a different view. But once that view gets put into practice, you have to demonstrate that we are better off with your policy than the former policies. I see absolutely no gain that's happened for the average person in the Western world over the last 25 years with green energy.
I've spoken to endless politicians. None of them could tell me what the percentage is of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which apparently is sort of affecting us and sending us to the end of the world. Anthony Albanese has made a major speech today on climate change, saying we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to become a renewable energy superpower by transforming, his words, the country's old coal-dominated electricity grid, helping its regional allies to shift to net zero emissions and tapping booming green investments. Do you have one word to describe that?
Codswallop. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go down the path of Argentina or Venezuela, and we're well down that path. Australia is already at net zero. When we look at the amount of carbon dioxide that's absorbed by our grasslands, our forests and our crops, it's about 5 times as much as we emit. And then we put the 2.5 million square kilometres of continental shelf into that. That absorbs a huge amount of carbon dioxide, and we are absorbing about 10 times as much as we emit. We should go to Paris and say, I want countries like Chad and Morocco, landlocked poor countries, to pay up. We need your money because we are doing our bit. So we are being fed absolute lies. Very few people are prepared to call it. You mentioned about Steve Kiernan. I don't get interviewed by government media. I don't get interviewed by mainstream media at all. They don't read my book. No. They don't need to read anything. No. They know it all.
They know it all.